Now to the growing unrest on college campuses and the threat of protests looming over graduation season. Just before we came on the air, police in riot gear seen moving into the University of Virginia's campus in Charlottesville, and demonstrations today at the University of Michigan. All of this raising questions about the impact on commencement ceremonies across the country. ABC's Phil Lipoff from NYU here in New York.
Tonight, colleges boiling over, clashes between protesters and police at the University of Virginia, with graduation season now in full swing. Some celebrations marred by protests, fueled by the war in Gaza.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
At the University of Michigan, protests on the field and in the air. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators waving flags and chanting. Even booing during the president's speech. From above, supporters of Israel flying a plane carrying a sign that reads, "We stand with Israel." At least 2,300 protesters have been arrested on 46 campuses across the country in the last 3 weeks of uproar. Protests growing into encampments, administrators struggling with how to respond to the demands of protesters for schools to cut ties with Israel altogether, divest from companies they say profit from the war, and publicly call for a ceasefire, while pro-Israeli supporters call for the release of the 100-plus remaining hostages kidnapped by Hamas on October 7th. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona writing in a letter to colleges that he is particularly disturbed by the sharp rise in anti-Semitism, calling the incidents abhorrent. Many Jewish students feeling threatened.
The Jewish community here, we felt like a lot of our concerns have just fallen on deaf ears.
In Florida, the chancellor of the state university system sending a letter to all state schools saying in part, while we respect and honor the First Amendment, a commencement ceremony is not the time nor the place for a political protest. He went on to say, take any steps necessary to keep people safe. Security has been an issue at UCLA. Violent confrontations between pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli groups. And at Columbia, the NYPD using a Bearcat ladder truck to take back control of a campus building seized by pro-Palestinian protesters.
Phil Lipoff back with us now from outside NYU, where there have been recent protests. And Phil, what more are you learning about the possible impact on graduations?
Well, Whit, here in New York, NYU and Columbia both have graduations on May 15th. That's still 2 weeks away, so it's a little too early to tell if these early interruptions will affect these later graduations. But we do know school leaders at Northwestern, Rutgers, and Brown all made deals with protesters to fend off any potential disruptions at final exams or at graduation. Whit.
All right, Phil, thank you.